Well, welcome to, or should I say, welcome back to the 4RealTho show. We actually used to do this a while back, but we had to get sidetracked as I moved from St. Louis to Columbus. But we're back at it, and I'm sorry. As you can see, everything's not quite as tight as I like it to be. I got some shadows here behind my picture and whatnot, but I didn't really, truly didn't expect to get started with this today. We've been preparing a lot to get this thing back on the road, and it just hadn't all come together yet. Been working with some people and whatnot. So hey, man, but we're here now. We had to be here today. So I hate to start off with such a morbid topic, but the reason why I felt like we had to be here today is because I want to talk about something. I want to talk about death, anger, and grief. Um, when I was young, young, when I was real little, I remember that when I heard about somebody dying, it was a really big deal. I remember it was like, ooh, wow, like somebody died. I I guess maybe I thought people lived forever, or I didn't have any sense of mortality for people. So, if I heard somebody in my family or what have you, or somebody on TV, it was like a really, really big deal. As I got older, then it started to be a thing of, well, do you know the person? I got past the part where strangers die and all that, but then if you knew the person, then it would affect you. Okay. And then, there's a lot of talk as you get older. You get exposed to a lot, especially today. There's a lot with television, movies, now they're gaming, and different things. So, there's a lot of, they say you can get desensitized, from watching so many shoot 'em up, kill 'em type of movies, where it's just violence after violence. I I'm not going to discount that at all. I think that there is something to be said for images going into your mind and how that affects you. And then, there's another stage, war and atrocities is what I would call them. Like say, for instance, um, in my time, it was the Gulf War. When Vietnam was going on, I was too little to realize it. So, there was the Gulf War. I remember I worked with some guys who went to Panama, and then you start hearing numbers, about people dying and how many people died. Like again, whether it was America or whether it was somebody else, dropping a bomb, and then you hear about so many people perishing. You may see TV, and it's still not really close to you, but unless you have somebody die, like say in 9/11 or some terrorist attack or something like that. Um, and then you have like mass killings, right? So you see that on TV, mass killings, Sandy Hook, Columbine, Stoneman Douglas, you know, those things again, I think even when you hear about 24, 25 kids, children being killed, you know, I think, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but as I grow older, sometimes it seems like it's not even really touching me. I really feel sad and I really feel bad, but seems to be a desensitization again because, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just so used to it or what. And again, and I live in America. It's not like I live in some foreign country where killing is just the thing you do every day. Certainly, there's killings that go on in America, but it's not the same as some say third world countries where the poverty is much more intensive. Uh, so so that may affect you some type of way. And then you got celebrity deaths, right? And I can remember just off top, when Michael Jackson died. That was, I remember feeling weird about it. But when they talked about the propofol and all that kind of stuff, I really wasn't shocked. I guess because he just seemed like he looked sick and whatnot. Uh, I could say a couple deaths that kind of really threw me. One was Natalie Cole. because I really grew up listening to her a lot, and her music, meant a lot to me. So, growing up, and they kind of helped me develop in a way, like many other musicians did. But certainly she did. At some very tender ages, as I was developing. And when Prince died, man, that really, boy, I was like, I remember like just being kind of shook about it. Actually not kind of shook. I was really shook about it because it was just seemed unbelievable. And I could even talk about TV shows. I remember when Wallace on the Wire was killed. That hurt me. And it's television. But you get into these characters. Uh, Shoot, it was Wallace. Heck, even Omar. That shook me. I remember when Opie was killed on Sons of Anarchy. But that really threw me for a loop. Like I had an attitude. Like I was really grieving. Like he was a real. Like he wasn't acting. So it's just funny how your mind works that way. It's funny how your mind works that way. So I've been grappling with that. I've been grappling with death. I've been grappling with grief, and I wanted to, try to. I've been trying to shake it, and deal with it, honestly. I noticed that, like lately, it seemed like it's just been a lot of death around me. Um, not just in my family, but I know my wife's friends. She's had some friends who have died. She's had some friends who have lost loved ones, and I would say quite a few, in 2019 and even quite a few in 2020. Some from COVID, uh, one from, you know, another situation I won't get into, some, while they were doing criminal activities. And so, or rather, some whose children, were doing criminal activities. We kind of at the age now where us old folks, a lot of us are a lot more laid back, but some of their kids, have gotten killed, committing crimes. And I noticed one thing about her, like, she could not talk to somebody for a year or 2 years or 3 years. And when she hears that that person passed, I mean, she could be immediately affected. She can immediately start to grieve, start to cry, and, really feel the hurt of that person. I can hear her say, boy, I know she's got to be really hurting right now. Her compassion really cuts in right away. And I noticed that about myself, when that's going on, that I don't really, like, sometimes I don't really feel anything right away because I didn't know the person or something like that. It's just, I feel really detached from it. And I just try to be there for her. It doesn't mean that I don't care. It doesn't mean that I'm not sorrowful. It just means that, again, I believe that life and situations, you just kind of get hardened to the fact that sometimes if it's not hitting that close to home to you, then it's really hard for you to relate. Again, I think theoretically you can understand, where a person's coming from, but, can you really feel that in your heart? Uh, even though I never met Prince, uh, Wallace wasn't a real person, he was a character, even though, his character was based off of real people. Same for Opie, or anybody else, whether it's fictional, or going back again to Natalie Cole. I never met her, but yet I was really moved, by her passing. So it's just really strange to me, and I've been grappling with that. So then, again, obviously you go back, to another component of death and grieving is, in your own neighborhoods, or where I'm from. I'm from St. Louis, East St. Louis, Illinois originally. Spent a lot of time in St. Louis, and I've always been a news junkie. So, I always watched the news when I was a kid. I read the newspapers, and I was always interested in, the community, what was going on, and so, there are times when, I hear about shootings or stabbings or killings, and from a community perspective, it would just really hurt me, and I would just feel like, wow, this is, I would just grieve for my city. I would wonder what's going on with young people that, they feel like they have to do these things. You know, understanding, yeah, poverty definitely makes a difference, and then understand that some people, may be psychopaths, So again, I'm just talking about things that you grapple with, things that I think about, when these things happen. And a lot of times I don't think we talk about them. I think we just deal with them. And that's certainly what I've been doing, but it's just kind of getting heavy on me. And, what's brought that to mind lately is, these deaths, among, what are you talking about, Ahmaud Arbery being hunted down and shot, like he was big game or something out in the Sahara. Um, that was one aspect of it. Obviously, when you see that no justice is being done initially, that pisses you off. Um, Not like it didn't piss you off when it happened to Philando Castile or Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin. The list goes on and on. It just, you know, we deal with it, right? Over and over and over again. We see the news reports. We go out in the streets and, we try to press administrators to do the right thing. And, we learn time and time and again that, when it comes to, law enforcement, when it comes to just white society, black lives just, well, I ain't gonna say seem not to matter. They don't matter, to them. There is this, obviously this deep seated racism and hate, that goes back from the beginning. And I think it's very complicated, but yet it's very simple. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time diving into that right now. Maybe another time. But and then the next video I saw this past weekend was this white woman, Amy Cooper, who was in a ramble at Central Park, place where people walk their dogs and, watch birds. And this brother, Mr. Cooper, Christian Cooper, he decides, to confront her, about her dog, not being on a leash. And that's pretty much the rules of the park. And, it's funny how white people are always telling us to follow the rules. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be okay if you just follow the rules. So, but I digress. He takes it upon himself, and rightfully so. He's a bird watcher. He don't want the dog running around all over the place, disturbing the habitat and whatnot. He's asked her to, put the dog on a leash. So she decides that she's going to go into this song and act, about placating, like Carolyn Bryant did, with Emmett Till, make a false statement in hopes that a black man gets killed behind it. And, I'm sure you guys have already seen the video mostly, what's going on with that, how she went into this mode of, like Broadway, like lights, action, camera, she deflected her voice in a certain way to get this reaction, from 911. And, those calls are, in case of a crime, those calls are used in the court of law to, to show that a victim, how they felt, how much they feared for their life or whatever the case may be. So she really went into it, man, and she even warned her. She said, "Hey, I'm going to call 911 on you and tell them that an African American man is threatening me." So she knew the ramifications of what she was saying. She understood. So a lot of times people say, I'm not racist and this, that, and the other, and she's definitely one that would say that. She's already said it. But at the same time, as much as she would act like it may be in social settings or in an HR meeting or, in some diversity meeting, that these things don't happen. And, she actually understood it very well because that's exactly what she played into. And so, Christian could have been the next victim. They could have rolled up on him, tackled him, threw him down, busted his head, tased him, shoot him, or what have you, because this white woman, said she was threatened and was lying about it. Matter of fact, she walked up on him, stuck her finger in his face, and by all it's perfectly righteous for him to just slap the shit out of her right then and there. Standing his ground. For all intents and purposes, is what I was trying to say. He could have just slapped the shit out of her. For walking up on him like that. And then on top of that, she choking the hell out of the dog, which you all see. That's kind of a side note, but and then that um, takes us to the case in Minnesota where the brother was it takes us to Minnesota where the brother was executed. He was executed, and I tell you, I tried to, when I saw the film of George Floyd being, you know, his life just snatched away from him. Uh, again, as I'm grappling with this, I'm trying to, just deal with this. First, you're angry. I put this on my social media yesterday. I'm gonna go to it and just read what I said. I remember going outside. I remember, getting myself a cigar and a drink and just trying to relax. And, but all the while, I got off of work and trying to relax. But all the while, this is just weighing on me, because it's just shit after shit after shit piling up, over and over again. And, I remember writing, this is what I wrote. I said, not that I'm alone, because I know I'm not alone. It's the other thing, when you're grappling with your own feelings and emotions, that you're not the only one. A lot of other people that feel just like you, that they may not talk about it, or they may write about it, or they may just express their frustration on social media. But, again, there's a difference in, letting it out, let out what you should. But, there's a difference in talking about, what to do about that kind of grief. But I remember I wrote, I said, not that I'm alone. I'm so pissed, disgusted, hurt, grieved, frustrated, and angry. Being black in this country is a mother every damn day. So pissed, obviously pissed that the brother was done the way he done. They did him, and four people or four police officers sitting there, condoning the shit. Disgusted at what I saw in the video. Disgusted at the blatant, just disregard for life. That no matter how much he screamed and begged, the police officer did exactly what he intended to do, which was to murder the man. And as far as he's concerned, he's going to get away with it because, after all, in the same city they got away with it with Philando Castile. Hurt and grieve. Hurt for the brother, hurt for his family, grieving for his family, grieving for those who love him, that expected him to come back that day, that, care about him, his friends. I got friends who I love and adore, friends who care about me, and, yeah, sure, we don't know the day or the time, and it could happen any day. We're not guaranteed any days, and I'm very aware of that. But at the same time, you don't expect something so egregious and so stupid, to happen, in that fashion. Frustrated because, damn, this shit over and over again, over and over again. And angry, obviously, maybe that goes right hand in hand with your frustrations. So, again, so I was talking to my mom today because I called her. I took a break from work and I gave her a call and I said, man, I just want to hear your voice. And she said, well, how you doing? And I said, well, I'm not doing too good because, this stuff has really been pressing me. This grief, this anger, it's really been pressing me. And, I'm trying to deal with it. but again, I'm sure you can relate to me. It just kind of all rises up in your chest. You know what I mean? When it's over and over again, it just rises up in your chest and it's just ever present with you. And it just seems like, in our frustration, it seems like it's nothing to do, nothing we can do, no outlet. And one of the things she said to me was, well, you have to pray, and you have to press through. And it's not that I don't agree with that. I believe there's a time to pray, time to press through and whatnot, and turn the page. Keep it moving. Not keep it moving in a cavalier way. Keep it moving in terms of you got to live your life, you got to take care of your family, etc., etc. But I think it's actually more. It's more we can do. The first thing that I've come to believe, for myself, and maybe you find this for yourself too, is that you have to deal with this grief. You have to deal with your anger. You have to sit with it. It would do me no good, to just try to turn the page, because what ends up happening is you just got this PTSD, and I recall sometimes being pressed and angry and stressed, and then taking it out on people I love, being short with them, again, when all this tension, you have, I believe that these things don't happen just for us to keep moving on, or for us to pray that we feel better. We have to, but even before we take action per se, or while we're taking action, part of our own self therapy is we have to sit with this grief and we have to deal with it. We have to be curious about it, inhale it, receive it, take it in, and accept it for what it is. It's a part of your humanity. And I think it's important, that we understand that. Have a way that you feel like you can do it. For me, I listen to music. I might listen to a podcast. I do whatever I can to try to relax, but I'm not trying to push it away. I'm trying to deal with it. I'm trying to sit with it. I'm trying to resonate with it, because I believe that's healthy. It's healthy not to press it away, because it's just going to come back. And then, on after that, let's just say, what can you do? What can you do afterward? A lot of times we feel helpless. Uh, I saw a post and somebody made a comment. Well, great job, guys. Filming the situation in Minnesota. But why didn't you just jump in and tackle the cops? Which was a stupid fucking thing to say, because number one, the cops was already standing by, ready to shoot the next person that interfered. They didn't even want you filming it. They didn't even want you getting close. Number two, what about the other three officers? You see what I'm saying? That was a white brother that made that comment. And it goes to show that he just has no fucking clue at all what he's talking about, because he doesn't put the onus on the police who are there with the guys, who are there, the other three who are there, those that are around the way, close by, that are ready to pounce on citizens and act like, that there was a mob that attacked them while they were doing their duties. He don't put it on them, police. He puts it on the citizens, which again, it's like, because we got this thing in our minds and we've been taught that, police are, heroes or some shit like that. And don't get me wrong, there are some police who are heroic, but the job don't make you heroic. The person you are, and your deeds and how you conduct yourself, especially in pressure situations, is what makes you heroic. So, there are plenty of friends of mine who happen to be police who are heroic, but guess what? If they worked at Starbucks, they'd be heroic because they're people of character. The badge doesn't make you heroic. The gun, the authority doesn't make you heroic. It doesn't make you, more worthy of praise. The thing about it is, there's not a draft. There's no fucking police draft. You go into it because you decide to do it for whatever your reasons are. Some to protect and serve, and some, like Eddie Murphy said, because you was called Buckethead when you were growing up. So you decided, fuck it, I'm going to be a police officer. Some because they're white supremacists, and, they just want to go up in the hood and, knock some niggas' heads up. That's what they want to do. Looking at the social media of a couple of these guys, these police in Minneapolis, that's how they get down. That's their get down. Their get down is the MAGA. The get down is make America white, all that type of shit. So, and they're taking that into the streets. So, uh, no, so you can miss me with that. Position doesn't mean shit. You know, it's who you are. It's the substance of a man, substance of a woman that makes them who they are and determines their worth. Uh, especially as regards to the community. And what they're doing. As another person, as a human being. So again, let's go back to again, what can I do? Um, Even as you're talking about, as wrestling with your grief, wrestling with your anger, what can you do? Well, the answer is I can't tell you what to do. And the reason why I can't tell you what to do is because only you know what you should be doing or what you can do, what you're passionate about to make a difference. There's some people who protest. I've protested before, so I'm certainly for protest. I'm not against protests like some people are. Some people, they say protests don't work. We shall overcome and all of that. Well, actually, it does work. It worked in Puerto Rico when they got the governor up out of there. Uh, it's worked to a certain degree in Hong Kong, even though China's dropping a hammer on them now. It certainly worked with these, a lot of these white, conservatives with their, astroturf type of protests. Wanting to open everything up. They go up there with their guns and shit, and guess what? A lot of the governors have buckled to that pressure, so it does work. Right now in Minneapolis, they're protesting. In Chicago, they're protesting. I'm sure in other places, because they want to see a change. I'm not against that. I'm for that. It doesn't mean, though, that everybody has to protest because everybody is not in the same lane. Okay, I got a friend who's an attorney, a white guy, Jewish guy, and his thing is, he's never going to join me in a protest, but he's very, very passionate about the criminal justice system. He's very determined and committed, to set those, give, allow legal services, for people who, are underserved and who can't defend themselves, who may be getting railroaded. He's very passionate about that. If you look at Attorney Stevens, from the recent movie that was out, I can't think of the name of it right now, but uh, his lane has been to serve those on death row who he believes, or through the evidence, shows that they've been wrongly convicted. So that's his lane. Everybody has a lane, and doesn't mean that you can only have one lane, but you have at least something that you're really passionate about. It's a lot of things we can do, and doesn't mean you have to be super passionate about every last one. But so sometimes showing up in a protest or what have you, it makes a difference. And we're going to get back to that in a few. Um, and I can tell you, I've had people tell me, Chris, you should run for office. Your social media, Facebook posts, what have you, Instagram, Twitter, they're very insightful. I love the way you think. You're a critical thinker, and I would love, for you to run for office. And the truth is this is not my lane. It's not my lane. My lane is not to run for office. My aim is not to be a preacher. I was told I would be a pastor or an evangelist or what have you. But that's not my lane. My lane is to commentate on these things. My lane is to talk about things of a critical nature and to give critical thought to things, to ask questions, that other people may not want to ask. As a matter of fact, as I was saying before, I was planning to start this podcast, this show, the return of it. I was planning on starting it in June, and it was going to start with an introduction to the show and let you know why I'm doing what I'm doing, what this thing is about. That it's not me just ego tripping, it's a real deal. It's something that is real to me. It's a calling for me. Not that again that it's the only thing I can do, but it's something that I feel like I must do. I must do. I have to do it. Everyone has a path in this world. Everyone has a voice, something to add, something to contribute. And I feel like this is one area that is part of my contribution. I do other things. I do counsel. I do give advice. I am open to listen. Uh, I do listen to people. I'm there for people. I love hard. And, I'm loyal. I'm dedicated. I'm consistent. Those are things that I bring to the table that have been a blessing to others. So that's me doing my part. Will I make $1 million off of it? Probably not, and that's okay. But I'm not going to turn down any monetization of something that I'm doing, you know, uh, that's worth something, because it's great to be paid to do something you love and to do something that you're passionate about and do something to help people. I believe you know, there's definitely a place for that. But this here, I'm doing right now, everything I've done up until this point, I've invested in myself. I've invested in equipment to do this show. I've invested in, the learning or talking to different people, for the last several months to try to get this thing back going. And, one of the things my lawyer friend told me, as we were talking about this, we were texting late last night, and he said, Chris, I got some things going, and I'm not at liberty to really talk about it, but I really think that it can help in dealing with some of these things that you and I have been discussing. And he said, it's not like, I'm all altruistic about it. That it's totally altruistic, but I believe it'll help. And what I told him was, I said, hey man, listen, you don't have to be a do-gooder to do good. You don't have to be a do-gooder to do good. In other words, you don't need to be altruistic. You don't need to have a total, you don't have to be totally, try to be some saintly figure, to try to make a difference, in your community or in your field. Um, if you're talking about playing basketball, and you want to go to the pros or you want to be like Mike or, Kobe or what have you, if you're really serious about it and you're going to put that work in, and you can still help people along the way, just like a LeBron, his basketball and platform has allowed him to do a lot of other things, open a school, uses social media to, influence others, to care about the things he cares about. It doesn't mean he would do this for free. Don't mean he should play ball for free, even though he would. Even though he would, don't mean that he should. He's going to sign that NBA contract. He's going to sign those endorsement contracts and do something good with it and still get something for himself. So what I'm saying is it's okay to do that. You don't have to be a do-gooder to do good. Uh, again, I'm not ego tripping, but, I do want this to be excellent. I want it to be nice. I got some shadows back there. I'm going to get myself a screen. I want to show excellence. So, yeah, but my ego is driven, to my purpose. My ego is driven to be excellent in what I do and what I share, and believe in it. Believe in it, to be passionate about it. No different than a recording artist, no different than an actor, actress, no different than a doctor, an attorney, a teacher. You know, uh, you know what I'm saying? A Sunday school teacher, whatever. Whatever you're passionate about. It doesn't have to have some fancy label to it. It makes a difference when you're just trying to make a difference. So, you have to find your own lane. What is it that you're passionate about? Uh, Talked to a young person not too long ago, and we were, going back and forth, and she said that, she had to find herself. She really felt that she wasn't useful for anything. And, she's a young lady, she's married, she got a couple kids, and I have to believe that she spent a lot of time thinking about being a mother, being a wife. And she's gotten to the point now where, it's like, wow, what do I have to offer? As a person, beyond being a wife, beyond taking care of my kids, but behind going to work every day, you know, cooking, cleaning, whatever the case may be. She's looking for purpose, and she didn't feel like she had it. And one of the things I told her, and other people they were chiming in, telling her, hey girl, you're a great dancer, you have a great personality, and all that. And, and I know that those things, they didn't mean anything to her. And she said so. She's like, you guys really just don't know me. And what I told her is the same thing I'm saying here. I don't know what your gift is, what your talent, what your offering is in times like these, just period. But if you search yourself, if you find out what moves you, what you're really passionate about, what moves you to tears, what you would do for free, what you're already doing for free. It could be writing a book. If writing a book is your thing and you never protest, but you're writing about something that's worth a damn, that brings value, even if you never do those, you don't have to try to fill everybody else's role. And you should never feel pressured to do that. You know, uh, so, that's what I told her. And I said, you have to sit down with yourself and you have to learn and figure these things out. But it's there. It's there. It's always been there. You've always had a purpose. But, again, it's easy to get sidetracked. And whatever your contribution may be, then let that be what it is. And finally, let's talk about what not to do. I said earlier, one of the things you don't want to do is suppress, your anger, your grief. Again, your purpose is going to deal with, an application to doing something constructive, with your grief. It's going to give you a game plan. It's going to move you to action. That's one thing. So you don't want to not sit with it. You don't want to just press forward and not resonate with how you feel and why you feel that way. You want to be curious about your feelings. You don't want to judge it. You don't want to get too bogged down in it, but you want to step back from it and just be curious about what it really is that you're feeling and why. And then, those ideas will start coming to you. It'll just be organic. It'll just be organic. It'll just come to you. The other thing I wouldn't want you to do is just pray about it. And the reason why I say that is because nothing gets done that way. Okay, let me tell you something. Especially black people, especially black Christians. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine, not long ago, who said, yeah, I'm just going to pray and put it in God's hands, And what I told her was this. I said, listen, man, let me just be real raw with it. Hey, man, look, white folks don't do that. White Christians, white evangelicals, when they want some shit done, they don't just pray about it. They don't just go to church. They don't just leave it in God's hands. You know what they do? They legislate. They hold rallies. They gather. Okay? They organize with their groups that see like them. They may protest. They're going to lobby Congress. Okay? They're going to get a coalition together to get the shit that they want. Right? Look at what they're doing now with 45. The last few years. They don't give a shit, how many women he done ran up in. They don't care about how many, babies he got out of wedlock or whatever. He can fuck around on Melania. Who cares? But he gonna stand with us on this abortion issue. He gonna, stand with us on these judges. And, they've practically thrown away their whole fucking religion to get what they want, to get a Supreme Court judge who they feel will be about their agenda. So black folks who sit there and pray, that's, again, I believe we've been trained to do that because we felt like we can't do shit else. We can't organize. We can't legislate. We can't make a difference in the marketplace. We're praying, waiting to get our shit in the sweet by and by, waiting to get our shit in heaven, waiting on St. Peter to open the gate to get your rewards. And I'm like, hey, man, white folks don't do that shit. Okay? Look, fucking Jay-Z don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, people you look up to. Michael Jordan. Y'all love Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan didn't do that. He didn't just pray. You know what I'm saying? He went about his business and put the work in to make a difference. Okay? So, same thing. Same thing. And here's another thing. We have to start changing our language and our attitudes. Our language, words mean a lot. Words mean a lot. And when something happens like this, you get a police killing, a shooting or something like that. And a lot of times what I read, a lot of my brothers and sisters say, a lot of times I read, oh man, that's so sad. It's so sad. you know, or with Trump, a lot of people who are passive when it comes to him, they just say, "Oh, he's just so stupid. He's so ignorant." That's so ignorant. And see, what you have to understand is those words, they don't mean shit. In other words, they don't move you. They don't move anything because it's passive. It's passive. You know what's aggressive? Hey, I'm angry. Anger will move you into some sort of action. You know, if somebody broke in your house, you're not going to say, "Oh, shit, oh, that's a shame." You know, people, they can just get a job, but, you know, they out here trying to rob people, man. That's just sad. I'm going to pray on that. You know, I'm going to pray in Jesus' name that these brothers will get their life right. While you getting upside your head, they taking your shit, they raping your wife, you know what I'm saying? They just going all through your household. No, man, anger is going to get you to confront that situation. Anger is going to get you to get a security system. Anger may get you to get a gat, you know, to arm yourself. You know, and if you do, hey, get your permit, you know, get your training, make sure you qualify. Don't just go off getting a gun because, you know, a lot of times, you know, studies have shown, you know, you get a gun, you ain't trained, you ain't properly locking it up, doing what you need to do, you know, most of the time you're going to get shot. You dig? Somebody going to find it and shoot somebody else, you know, what have you, or shoot themselves. So, you know, but the point is, you can't use these passive words. You can't say Trump is just ignorant and, you know, he's stupid, because then that means you don't do shit about it. But if you're angry, if you're provoked, if you're passionate, and if you got, you know, if you're willing to stand on something, then that's going to cause you to either vote, it's going to cause you to, you know, get involved with City Hall, with local politics. Uh, Find out what judges you're voting for. You know, so it's not just national, it's also local. You know, so stop using these passive words and having these passive attitudes. You know, these passive no solutions to you know, confront things that are kicking our asses as a society, that are killing our mothers and sisters and brothers and fathers and nieces, nephews, cousins, auntie, uncles, and all of that. Your friends, your neighbors. You've got, man, we've got to not just be passive, man, and, you know, taking shit on the chin, talking about how silly, stupid, or sad it is. No, man, it's not. It's not just gonna be God's will. You got will on this earth. You got will on this earth. You dig? You, if you don't say if it's God's will, I'm gonna get up and get me something to eat. You can get your ass up and go to the fridge. You know, you're gonna go to Steak and Shake, whatever the hell it is you do, right? You're gonna go to Grubhub, right? You're gonna do what you gotta do. If you need some light, you don't say, "Oh Lord, oh Jesus, Allah, whatever," and, you know, let there be light. You get in there and you cut the light on. So if it's that way for these simple things, then how much not more for the more complex things? Hey man, even the Bible says it's first natural, then spiritual. You know what you pray about? You pray for strength. You pray, if you're a praying person, you pray for things that you can't do on your own. You pray for wisdom. You pray for knowledge. You pray for understanding so you can apply what your passion is in a constructive fashion. You know, you pray to learn wisdom as you make your mistakes. You know, and when you make mistakes, it's not the devil's fault. You know, mistakes are here to teach you, you know, to help you learn what not to do. Okay? This setup that I got right here that is less than perfect behind me, you know, is part of my learning process. I had to do this today. I felt this on my heart, so I did what I had to do to work with it. Okay? And it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. I'll deal with the rest of it later. I'll deal with introduction to the show later. But this here is what I had to get off my heart. I hope it helps somebody. I really do. But this is again not truly altruistic. This is doing something for me. It's giving me a release, and I'm hoping that it'll help you. Okay? So again, closing out, you know, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. We're gonna do this thing as often as possible. We're gonna have some interviews. We're gonna talk about many topics, and we'll get into that again. Uh, Hopefully, maybe the next show will be the one that we introduce the show and tell you what our intentions are and what we want to do here. But otherwise, like I said, man, say with your grief, deal with your grief. Um, Talk to somebody, and don't just let anger be the last word, but let that anger provoke you to some sort of action. Um, yeah, man, we can do this. We can do this. That's the great thing about this time is, the one great thing about social media, about these YouTube channels and platforms is there's so much information out there. And, so, hey, there's a way. There are people out there willing to help you. So, hey, man, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. I'm not going to keep you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.